What's going on, guys? Decided to drive up north this morning because it's been so freaking brutal hot down in the valley. Get up here in some cooler weather, and I've got to shoot some broadheads. I'm gonna test some broadhead flight. That's one thing that I haven't done, is tested broadhead flight with this new arrow setup that I got. So we're gonna do it together. If there's anything wrong, you're gonna see it, and we're gonna fix it. And at the end of this, we're gonna have broadheads hitting good. Get ready for bear season coming up here shortly. 365 target all set up. I love this thing. I love it because it's bigger. I love that target because it's bigger, so you can bring it and shoot longer range with it and not have it be a pucker fest. Some of these targets that you buy, the smaller ones, they're great, but man, shooting them at longer range, you know, there's a little bit of anxiety there because they're so small, and if you breathe wrong, you're gonna miss and blow up an arrow. Another thing I love about that target is that I can take that yellow cube out of the center. And that's actually what I bring with me when I'm traveling and I hunt out of state. Just this tiny little cube. Just throw it in the back of the truck. Doesn't take up a whole lot of room, and I can get to a trailhead, throw it out, make sure nothing got bumped on the way to wherever I was going, and just walk it. I can pack into areas with a lot more confidence. So super cool target, man. By the way, I have no affiliation with 365 targets. I just really dig the target, and it's held up good. All right, 50 yards on the nose. Shoot a couple field tips here, and make sure we're good. And then we'll throw the broadheads down there. Make sure. Yep. Always double check your dial. Make sure you're not still dialed to 90 yards from the archery range. All right, here we go. Felt good. Good. That felt good too. Let's go take a look. All those felt pretty good. Looks like they're all in the dot. Let's see here. It's a good morning to be doing this too, man. It's nice and calm. Awesome. Oh yeah, those are good. There we go. 50 yards. Happy with that. They're all in the black. Maybe a smidge. If we're being real picky here, there's a smidge to the right, but I don't like to make adjustments for something like that right off the bat. They're like, we're being like really picky here. Like if we are like looking at things like from a picky standpoint, they're very, very slightly to the right, but that was only one group. If that continued to happen on every single group that I was doing, then maybe I would, make a click, one click, bring it right to bring it back into the center, but I need to see consistency in order to make an adjustment. So right here, say we're good to go. Let's throw some broadheads on and see what happens. I cannot believe how quickly season is coming, man. I feel like preseason, you always have the feeling, at least I do, I'm like, oh yeah, I got plenty of time. Got a whole bunch of time. Got time coming out of my pockets, right? To get ready. And before you know it, it's August. Gosh. Gonna be bear hunting in a few weeks, man, can't believe it. All right, guys, I did move up a little bit to 40 yards just in case there was some small inconsistency. Try to avoid breaking an arrow. Based on how everything's flying, I don't think there's going to be. For your case, in your case, I hope there is, so that I could show you how to make an adjustment and then do that on camera. But I think we're going to be all good. Broadhead here. This is the Evolution Jekyll. The main broadhead I'll be using is the Hyde, but I like to practice with these. They fly exactly the same. Evolution does offer a practice head, but in all honesty, I just don't have one on me. So when that happens, I just practice with this fixed head to not mar the pin on the mechanical head. So been banging the drum on these for a few years now. Really, really incredible broadhead, flies incredible, and does a great job on animals. So let's see what happens. 40 yards, okay, first shot here, 40 yards, and hopefully this goes in the dot. If it doesn't go in the dot, I'll shoot a field tip to follow it up with, just to measure the inconsistency. If you shoot your field tip first and then your broadhead, you risk messing up the field tipped arrow with your broadhead by cutting veins or whatever. Broadheads are sharp, so they do damage. So, all right, 40 yards, here we go. Okay. All right. They look right. Interesting. Could be me. But the last group I shot was a little bit to the right, so I'm going to shoot one more group after this, and if it happens again, I'll make a sight adjustment. But the good news is that they're pretty much right in line. So here they are. This is the broadhead right here. This is the field tip. Okay, so give you a top-down look. They're pretty much right in line there. Good elevation. So I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna shoot this again, and if the same exact thing happens, I'm gonna make a slight windage adjustment to bring all of the arrows into the center. The important part is I want them to group together. That's the only broadheads and field tips. That's all I care about, which is why I'm gonna move this sight first after I shoot this group. If they're together but they're to the right, I'm not messing with the rest or anything like that. The picture that you're seeing there is broadhead and field tip are flying together. That is the goal. We're just gonna keep shooting and see what happens. All right, here we go. 40 yards, round 2. Broadhead first. Just looking for consistency. Let's see. That was right. Let's see what this one does. That was right. Let's go look at them. They're together though. Last time I was at the archery range, gosh, it was windy. I shouldn't have made the adjustment. It was windy and I was hitting, and my windage was a little bit off, and I ended up doing one click. And then all of a sudden at the archery range, I was hitting great in the center, but it was windy out. It's calm today. Okay, so check it out. Those are right hitting together, 40 yards. I believe this one right here is the broadhead and this is the field tip. Okay, so I'm gonna do a small windage adjustment on my sight, and we're gonna see what happens. This is one of the coolest things about this sight. This is a Spot Hog Fast Eddy. I've been bouncing between this and the Canyon Pounder. Been running this as of late, but you do not need a tool to adjust the windage. It's super cool. So just gonna crack this lever right here. We're just gonna go one click, see what happens. 40 yards, made that one click adjustment. Hopefully things are in the center now. I'm just gonna shoot field tips for this one, just to make sure we're back zeroed, if you would. And then we'll get back to flinging broadheads after that. So that's why we do this. That was in the dot. 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 All right. Let's go look at that. Those look way better. I hope I just didn't mess up an arrow. Gosh, it's like just like love-hate relationship with grouping. Gosh dang it, man. Once you're dialed, there's no reason to group. Grouping definitely has its advantages though. You need to do it to see patterns. So here we go. Here we go. That's where we're at after making that one click adjustment. So happy with that. Looks like I don't think I messed up an arrow. So it's a good day. Now that that's taken care of, made that adjustment. Now I'm gonna go back and shoot broadheads again. Gosh, man, just a lesson there, right? Like, made an adjustment when it was windy out. Gotta have confirmation of that stuff before you jump the gun. I jumped the gun last time I was at the archery range. A little bit off now. So, well, not now. Looks like we're good now, but can't be making adjustments too fast, man. So it felt great though at the range. Hitting the dot at 100 yards felt awesome. But now I was out of the dot at 40. Very interesting. Here we go. I believe this is round 3 with the broadhead. 40 yards, Jekyll, field point. Let's see. That one was in the dot, like that. Let's do a field point. All right, they're right together. Just go take a look. I just see this green blob down there, which tells me that the tuning seems to be spot on. It's just a sight thing, if anything. But they're like, looks like they're almost touching these arrows. So, heck yeah. Check it out. "40 yards. I don't know which one's which, to be honest. One's the broadhead, one's the field tip. So that's where they're sitting. Here's center. Still a smidge this way. Okay, so again, for consistency, like you just saw, I think that's me, to be honest. Judging off the last group I shot with a field tip, the 3 arrows were trending in the center, okay? You're gonna float, like, I'm not perfect, man, okay? So I'm gonna shoot again, maybe another few groups with this, just to see if this keeps happening over and over and over again. And if it does, and if I wanna be really picky about things, yes, I will go one click and move my sight again. Glad I'm doing this, man. It's nice and calm out. What a beautiful morning to shoot the bow. I left my house this morning and it was like really windy, so I was hoping I wasn't gonna come up here and it was gonna be blowing me all over the place. So super grateful it's calm out, really see what's going on here. Get the best shots possible. I always like shooting with my quiver on too. I'm not dogging on anyone, but I have never really understood the dudes that practice without a quiver. I know you're technically like more steady or whatever, the wind doesn't move your bow as much, but like you're gonna be hunting with a quiver on, especially out west. If you're in a tree stand, I get it. Guys take their quiver off and hang it in a tree, but you need to be practicing with your quiver if you're hunting out west, man, because your quiver is gonna be attached to your bow and it does shoot a little bit differently. It feels different. So that's why I always try to practice with my quiver on. So here we go, 40 yards, Jekyll, coming in hot. look like dang near in the same spot. Let's see what this one does. Yeah, I'm gonna do this a few more times. I'm not gonna show you this because it looks like the last one. Just trust me, guys, okay? I'm gonna do this a few more times, make sure it's consistent, and then I'll move back a bit. And so when we move back, if there is that little bit of inconsistency down there, it's gonna be magnified when I step back. So I'm gonna go pull these arrows, keep going. I shot a couple more groups to gather some more data on this nice calm morning. And after doing so, realized that all of the arrows, the broadheads and the field tips were all trending slightly to the right. I'm talking like 2 inches, but they're all in line, okay? So what I did though is I made 2 clicks with my windage, and then I reshot. This is the results. Broadhead, field tip, 40 yards. Here we go. That's what's up right there. Right in the center, on top of one another. Love that. Hope you can see that. There we go. Bingo. Definitely comfortable moving back now. We'll just inch it back, you know. We'll go to 50, 60, 70, stretch it out with broadheads, see what happens. Based on this, it looks like it's going to be right in the money zone. So yeah, and then after I do that, we'll just make that quick. After I do that, I'll tell you what I would have done if there was an inconsistency in the broadhead, if the broadhead was not hitting with the field tip. In this case, I think it's important to note from this shooting session here, the broadhead and the field tip were always hitting together. It was never, oh, the broadhead's way over here and the field tip's consistently hitting here. No. They were always hitting together. You need to pay attention to that. Because if that's happening consistently, then all you have is a sight issue. Then you just move your sight, that's it. If there's an inconsistency in the broadhead though, that's where coming in and making tweaks to your rest and stuff like that comes in. So don't immediately jump to messing with your rest. Make sure of everything first, and that is kind of like a last resort thing, at least in my opinion. Field tip, broadhead. All right, guys, stepped back to 60 yards. I really like shooting this type of distance with a broadhead. It instills a lot of confidence. 60 yards is a very realistic distance to plan on shooting in Western bow hunting. So for me, seeing is believing. So being able to shoot this, see my broadhead go where I want it to go, instills a huge amount of confidence. So we're gonna let it rip, shoot some 60, 70, 80 with broadheads, and see what happens. It's dead center, man. That's awesome. Oh goodness. All right, 70 yards. Here we go. Right in, dude. There's 70 yards right there. Happy with that. Awesome. Check this out, man. Look at those. It's awesome. Brighten this up a little bit. 80 yards in the dot together. Love it. This is the broadhead right here. This is the field tip. I'm super stoked on that, man. For how I shoot, you know, like I'm not expecting to put it in a quarter at 80 yards. 80 yards is a long way. So if you can, for me, if I'm grouping in the dot with the broadhead and the field tip, or just field tips, to be honest, I'm excited about that. There's nothing drastic going on. The broadhead didn't hit, you know, 12 inches to the right or left or anything like that. They are within an inch and a half. I'll try to measure here. for you. Let's check it out. Inch, yeah, about 1.5 inches. 1.5 inch group, broadhead and field tip at 80 yards. I'm pretty happy with that. One more thing about the group, if you noticed, the broadhead and the field tip were they were in slightly different angles in the target. That was totally me. Like I shot from a different position because I was adjusting the camera, so I wasn't standing in the same exact spot. So that's why those weren't perfectly parallel to one another. So not a tuning issue. It's a camera thing. You mess with cameras, you understand. So. All right, guys, got that done. Super stoked with those results. Thanks for following along. I did tell you I was going to tell you what I would do if the broadhead was hitting in a different spot than the field tip though. So I'm just going to do this really quick. It's very simple. Assuming that you have everything else on your bow is sound, cam timing, your arrow spine is correct, all that, everything's working properly. What you would do is if my broadhead was hitting to the right of my field tip consistently, not just on one group, consistently over and over again, what I would do is I would move the rest very, very slightly, and this is where micro adjust really wins the day. I would move the rest in the direction of the broadhead. Okay, I've done this over and over and over again. I've tested it both ways. There's a lot of debate out there on which way to move the rest, if you move it towards the broadhead or away from the broadhead. In all honesty, if you paper tune your bow properly, you're a consistent shooter, like that comes into play too. I usually paper tune at 2 yardages, 3 yards and 6 yards. Once I get a bullet hole with a field tip with a flex field tip at those two distances, I don't think I've ever had to touch the rest for broadhead flight, at least with these Evolution Outdoors broadheads. Okay, so, but if you needed to do that, you would move it. I would move it very slightly in the direction of the broadhead. Okay. Now the thinking behind this is, here's a broadhead tipped arrow, right? The thinking behind this is if your broadhead is hitting to the right, that means that the tail of your arrow is to the left. Okay. This would be, and it's the same exact adjustment with paper, which is why I believe in paper tuning so much. Okay. If you're getting a knock left or a point right tear in paper, you move your rest to the right to get a bullet hole. That's how you do it. So if your broadhead is hitting to the right, it means it's planing to the right. So that means that in paper, that would be a point right or a knock left tear, or a tail left tear. So you're gonna move the rest in the direction of the broadhead, and that is gonna straighten out the back end of the arrow. Okay, I've done it both ways, like moving it away from the broadhead to bring, like, because you think you're steering the front of the broadhead, but the way that I've gotten the most consistency is by moving it towards the broadhead. And after I figured out, oh, it's the exact same adjustment through paper, and when I have bullet holes in paper, my broadheads fly good. Then I'm like, well, that's to me, that's the way you do it. So I hope that was helpful. Thanks for following along with another video on the Dialed In Hunter YouTube channel. If you liked the video, please hit thumbs up. If you like the channel, please hit subscribe. Down in the comments, I showed you what broadheads I'm shooting and how they're working, how they're flying. I want to know what you're shooting and why. Put it down in the comments. Let's talk broadheads. I hope you're out there shooting your broadheads and you're seeing the results that you want to see. If you're not, address it now before season. Walk into season with confidence. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.